Welcome to Adekyn Plays Railway Empire. To part two of our gold rush scenario. We've got our four-city cluster set up as we described in part one. If you haven't seen that, please go back and find that video. I'll have a link for it. But find that video and watch it. But we're going to start from there with what we're trying to do now. So let me go into planning mode so we can talk about this without losing time. If you're observant and you did watch the first one, you'll notice that there are a few more lines now, and we've moved ahead about 3 or 4 months, I guess 4 months. So let's talk about what we've done. What I've done is set up a freight line that runs kind of in a big circle around all the stations, but it's a bi-directional line. It's not the same kind of a thing we used. If you'll notice here, we use these little point-to-point lines that come into a single point in a station and run off. This is a passenger line and runs down. This passenger line runs all the way through here and comes in again and kind of ties itself off, running point to point from station to station. And that is a line that goes from one city to another city, and that's it. That's all it does. But our freight line is a little more versatile. Our freight line is set up with these double tracks that have crossovers. They have switches at each end so that you can move back and forth between all the cities. So if I'm in San Francisco, I could go, for example, through Sacramento to Shasta. I wouldn't have to stop and be limited by only being able to go to Sacramento. I could go through and go to Shasta, or I could go through and go to Carson City. And the idea, the theory here is that we've got a flexible line we can use for our freight, and wherever we need to bring freight from the outside of our cluster introduce it into our cluster to support our industries, we will be able to tag on anywhere in this line going in either direction and get to the city we need. And let me see if I can give you an example. What we're going to do here first, another thing I've done is set up a warehouse. Warehouses are special buildings that are just that. They are a warehouse, but they are also a four-track station combination of a storage unit and a station. And they can be very powerful. They can be a little tricky to use, so we're going to cover how to use them. So what you see here is you see a line coming out from our warehouse, one going out to the right, pardon me, the way we're looking at it, toward Carson City, one going to the left toward San Francisco. So that way it can link up with our freight line. This is our big freight line. And going in either direction. So we're going to use that warehouse to pick up 6 items. And I've got a bonus here, so let me pick this up real as fast as I can before I lose this bonus. Hate to lose that connection bonus while I'm jabbering away. And I'll explain this in just a moment. But I want to move quickly. I'll explain why I'm building these 4 lines here in just a moment. But I'd like to get that bonus if I can. And also, honestly, the other thing I'd like to do is buy this if I can. That's too expensive. Shucks. All right, so there we go. We got our bonus. Good. So that basically bought our station and some of our track for us. Um, so we're going to obviously run cattle into that warehouse. But what I wanted to show you, the reason I did the 4 little lines running out is that these the lines that are going to be coming to the warehouse with the raw materials are not going to be going on our main line. So there's no supplies for them. But rather than having a separate supply depot on every one of these lines, I'm just going to set up one supply depot here that will cover any of the lines that I happen to come into. That way I only had to build one. And then also just don't have to think about it anymore. So we'll have a short line running from here to here. Now, The way these warehouses work, first thing you have to understand about them is this. You have to activate what goods you want to cover in that warehouse. And I can tell you, we're going to take cattle, obviously. There's corn down here to our south. We're going to grab that. We're going to have in this warehouse, we're going to have cotton. There's cotton a little bit to the east of us. We won't be doing sugar. We'll get that elsewhere. We will be doing milk because that'll come up soon as a need in the city. We will do vegetables from a farm just to the north of us. Same thing with fruit, farm just to the north of us that we'll be doing. I'm also going to activate maintenance here in case these trains need maintenance. They can also get maintenance as they stop along the route here. And you see I've got a bad condition here because one of the things I didn't do was put maintenance in all of my stations when I built them here. So you've got that inner line there is that's actually a passenger station, and it didn't have maintenance set on it. Okay, so back to what we were saying. So we're going to have back to planning mode, so we're not wasting time. So we've got this coming in. We've got this now set up to accept 6 things. I'm going to go ahead also and go ahead and crank these up. You can set how much you want coming into each of these. So we could have zero, we could have a small amount. There are times when it's useful to set one down and one up if you want to emphasize one or the other, but I'm just going to go ahead and crank them all up to max for now. And I'll show you, once I start this, show you another concept of the warehouse that's kind of good or bad. You have to understand it so you know what to do with it. And that is this. Usually, if you think about if you've ever tried to, guys, I'm just going to have to go ahead here. Life is going on without us here. I'm going to set this up to always run full and run into the warehouse. A freight only line. Ah, okay, like I said, a freight only line, always full, and we'll use a freight train. Okay. And of course, I have to go out here and hire some more employees and interrupt what I'm doing. If I haven't already said this, these employees can be a real pain. And also catch up on our research, and you'll notice I'm avoiding the trains. I don't really want to change trains right now. I just want to get the other research, improve maintenance, improved profits, what have you. So we've got our one train, but you notice this guy's running. This line here is running and filling up, even though there's no place for this cattle to go. We haven't set up any lines to take it anywhere. That's the beauty of the warehouse. It creates its own demand, if you will. So now we're pumping cattle into this warehouse, and we're going to go ahead and grab a couple of other things that we wanted to do. We know we want to get some cotton. I would love to buy some of these. I've got some money here, a little flush with cash. I don't like the looks of that breakdown. What caused that? Here we go. Probably missing another. There we go. More maintenance requirements. Probably wouldn't be the worst idea if you got in the habit of building that maintenance as soon as you could, because I tend to forget them, but so be it for now. So we're going to, oh, there's another connection bonus. What's that for? We're going to go down here and grab these guys. We're going to grab this corn. We know we wanted it anyway, and we can get a bonus for it and kind of get it paid for with that bonus. So we'll run a line like so. That looks good. There, we got our bonus. That's nice when you can get a freebie. And we'll set up a line from here. And notice, again, I don't have any demand set up in any of my cities. So it's just saying I want corn, and I want corn put in this warehouse. Put our freight train on it. and of course go get some more employees. And these conductors, I mean, I don't mean to sound like I'm griping about them. They have tremendous value. They really do boost things up, but sometimes it's just a pain when you're right in the middle of something and you got to go grab an employee. So I want to have a couple of these guys running. So we got our corn going, and it's already up to level 2, and it's already very expensive to buy, and I'm buying it anyway. Okay, so we've got our corn industry going, and because I've only set haven't double tracked this, I now have a problem. So let me fix that. Never start your trains before you finish building your track and doing your switches and all that stuff. And of course, I didn't follow any of that advice. But not to worry, this one is an easy fix. Some of the fixes aren't so obvious. This one is easy. That should resolve that problem. There we go. Problem gone. Now, let's go grab the rest of the stuff we want. We can use a large one here. That way we can grab them both. And it's really not necessary. I mean, I could have just as easily, very much as easily, gone ahead and used 2 small ones. In fact, it's actually more price economical if you're not worried about loading times, and you're really not on these so much. But let's run this down, get rid of this massive bridge. Now you might be thinking, a 20-degree incline, oh my God, that can't possibly be done. But remember, we're going downhill, so we really don't care. It'll go downhill quite easily, and it'll be deadheading back up, meaning it's running empty, and that's not an issue. Okay, that looks good for that one. And we'll double track it. I think the easiest thing would be just double track it down here. In other words, basically just make a passing lane so we can have more than one running. Okay, and we'll set up a line from here. Always run full to our warehouse and put our freight train on it. And of course, go get some more. You seem to be in a rhythm here. Go get some more employees. They didn't like that dude. Okay, so we've got, see, where were we? We've got this guy running, give him some help. And now we'll go out here and get cotton. We have a little terrain issue with this one, but there we go. I'm going to run it down here, so I'm only building one bridge. And Oh, that's ugly. There we go. That's better. Okay. And double track this. So. If the track actually hooked up, it would be a much more effective double track, obviously. And now we'll set up our line with our cotton. Give him some help. And then we'll go out and grab milk. And you notice we haven't really sent any of this stuff anywhere, so we're just spending money right now, about all we're getting done. But we are laying the groundwork for something we hope will be good. So we're going to run this guy in and hook him up with this other line. Like so. And these are tricky. If you've never done one, you have to come in on one side. You aren't allowed to cross, so you have to come in on one and cut over to the other. Then you need to go down and find your nearest signal and make sure that it is telling you to not drive on the side, so that the train, as it's coming down here, will go across and across over into the right, and of course it'll come back on the right and hook up just fine. And we'll double track this portion of it so I can run more than one milk train. There we go. And that looks good. And we'll set up a line with milk, always running full, and going to our warehouse. And I'll give him some help. And I forgot to buy this dairy. Is it too late? We can probably get it. It's getting more and more expensive. But buy your farm, then set up your lines. Once you set up the lines, it becomes more valuable. Okay, so we've got a lot of stuff coming into our warehouse. You can see it's already getting a lot of stuff. Now we need to actually make some use of it. So we're going to set up delivery lines. We're going to run from our warehouse to Carson City, and we're going to run it out of track 1 and make sure that looks good. It does. And we're going to run about 4 trains up there. And then we're going to set up a line from our warehouse to Shasta and run probably, at least 4 more. Oh, and I really meant to say out of three, I want them to go off to the right, just to spread the. Cause it's kind of 6 to 1, half a dozen to Shasta, and I want to spread the load out between going right and going left. So run out of. Oh, I don't mean that. I mean track two. We go back to that first one. Run him out of track two. 1 and 2 are the two that are closest to us. And then 3 and 4 will run to 3 to Sacramento and 4 to San Francisco. So let's set up a line between our warehouse and Sacramento and run it out of track 3. You'll notice I'm not requiring these to be full, and I'll show you why in just a second if it isn't obvious to you already. And out of track 4, we will run a line into our San Francisco freight station. And give him some help. And let's see, probably lost some employees by messing around there, but let's see what we got. They're just not fond of these security guards. Nope, got a good one, good reaction and a bad reaction on that one. Let's try this. Again, not interested in trains, more interested in other improvements for the time being. Okay. So let's see, how many trains did we set up to actually do these deliveries? We've got 2 to Sacramento, and I think we probably ought to give Sacramento one more. And then in this direction, we've got now you can see something that's happened to us. These Carson City to San Francisco has now. No, I'm sorry, I just clicked the wrong line. Forgive me. That's better. Sorry. Let's go back here. I clicked this passenger line. I was thinking all my passengers had jumped over here. That would be no good. So we've got warehouse to Carson City. We've got 4 of them. We've got 2 to Shasta. So we need certainly more to Shasta. Okay, so if you're a train watcher, this is where the action's going to be. There's going to be trains moving in and out of there all the time. Now, to explain quickly, why did I set the trains going out to the cities not to necessarily be loaded? One, they'll probably be loaded all the time because, as you can see now, we've got lots of goods in our warehouse, and it'll continue to be close to full. And we will be pumping them out to the cities as fast as we can. So they'll probably be run full anyway. But if we ran them full and something happened where they didn't have what they needed, and these trains got stopped where they couldn't get into the warehouse and dump their goods and provide more goods for the warehouse to send out, we would get stuck. So we we make the trains with the raw materials run full, and then the trains going to the cities can run however they want. And we've got an awful big slowdown here for some reason. What's going on? Oh, I've just had it pause. Sorry. Okay, so all right, so we're looking pretty good. We're making money like crazy. We're making money faster than we can spend it. I guess that's a good thing, but boy, it can be a little frustrating sometimes. Let's get our passenger line. I'm gonna buy that whatever that is. Okay. Um, hire some more employees. One of our favorite activities, of course, hiring employees. An inventor, I like inventors. They will give us some innovation, give us more research points quickly. We don't have enough to do anything except buy a type of train, which I don't really want just yet. Okay, so we'll hold off. All right, we'll get random breakdowns. That's okay. Well, they'll get better and better. Okay, we bought this logging thing up here. And I'm making the noise because that's a pain. That location is just a pain. It looks so tempting, and it's just such a pain to deal with the way I have this set up. So I think what we'll do, we definitely want to get wheat in here to go to this beer and to the rest of the town. So I think we could probably figure out where we're going to put our logging. And let's do this. Let's get rid of this brewery because it's just not helping us. So we're going to buy the brewery. Whoa, buy the brewery. We're going to demolish it. We're going to put in a sawmill instead, and we're going to move it close to the train station, so for faster unloading and loading. And then we're going to run a line from this thing we just bought. Now this is an interesting one because all the cities could use logs, there's no doubt. But I think we're only going to run it to our one for now, and if we want to expand later, we can. Now, this line on the inside is our passenger. We don't want to mess with it, so we want to actually go over top. We're going to go over top and then back down in, then hook up into our freight line, like so, and like so. We're going to go down here and check this signal and make sure that this signal right here is saying don't you come this way, so the trains will come in and they'll pass over, they'll change lanes and go over to the right, and we're going to double track it. Yeah, why not? Double track it down to here, put signals on it. It will catch a let's confirm that. Will it pass through? Yes, it will pass through a supply station, so we don't have to give it a supply station or supply tower. And there we go. And let's set up a line between here and Carson City. Give it a freight train and give him some help. And we should be good to go on that. And now we definitely want to get our wheat. And I think, I think we're just going to run it from up here. Let's see. This should be cheap, affordable. Not cheap, but affordable. And we're just going to run, for now, we're just going to run the wheat to the one that really needs it, which is our beer maker, our brewery, which is in Shasta. So Hook it up with our outside line. Cross it over. Check our signal and make sure we're going to go in the right lane. Let's double track this one from back here, save a couple bucks. Here to here. Now this one will, let's see if it will miss our supply depot, so we're going to use a supply tower on it. And we might as well use that as our next stop here. And again, these crossovers are better if they actually connect. Okay, now we can set up a line from the farm that we own into Shasta. Always loaded. Give it a freight train and off she goes. All right, so we're supplying wheat to our beer. We're supplying meat to our food processor. We're supplying cotton to our textiles, which will eventually be one of these two. The other will be clothing. And we're supplying lumber to Carson City, to the sawmill. And what else we got going on? So we're actually in pretty good shape. So this is a good one. This reduced maintenance by 20%. That's lovely, lovely, lovely. So I think what I'd like to do at this point, first let's just check and see how we're doing. All right, 66%, good growth in Carson City. It's getting some milk, it's getting textiles, it's getting meat. Now what we can do here, let's just do some balancing out. So I don't know, boy, here's where I wish you had a pause button. Yeah. So San Francisco, let's look at the meat. See, their demand is really low in San Francisco. They're actually losing population. That is not good. We're going to have to fix that. So in San Francisco, they should be getting more stuff than they are. I think what's happening is the meat industry is dominating all of our shipments. Meat. And this one's going back to the warehouse. So I'm going to give it another line, first of all. More meat. So I think in order to make that city grow, I'm going to grab that train right there and tell him to, well, no, I don't want to do that. That being, make it specialize in one item, one thing. We've got so much meat coming in, and frankly, I haven't even bumped it up. I was planning on bumping it up. So, boy, this is the trade-off with the warehouses when you don't have those direct lines. So anyway, I think our first thing, back to our original task, we need to make Carson City grow. We're at 71%. Beautiful, beautiful. So Carson City's looking very good. Shasta, 70, very good. And Sacramento, not so good. So for whatever reason, these two are not doing as well. So I'm thinking we may need more trains going there. Sacramento, certainly. Oh, there's one of the problems. There's one problem. We got meat. See, they're wanting the same thing, so they're competing for resources. They're wanting the same thing. They're not helping each other. We've got to get rid of this puppy. It wasn't that bad. We're going to demolish it, and we're going to put in something else. We'll put in, it's time for our distillery. We've got to get on that alcohol because it's something we have to create. So we are going to put our distillery in close to our freight line so we can get stuff. We already have fruit coming in. We just need to add sugar into the mix, and we'll be able to make our oh, that'd be nice if we could get it on this side of the tracks. Okay, we won't have to cross the track now, but we will have to make a pretty hard turn. So we're going to go over here and hook up into that bridge is going to keep us from doubling the line, so we got to fix that. That should be enough space. Okay. So we're going to hook up into our freight line with this sugar, and we're going to go out here and see if we can buy the thing first. While it's still cheap, it's not that cheap, but it is buyable. Okay, so we're going to buy that sugar plantation, and we're going to run sugar down here to Sacramento and make sure that our signals are helping us out. So this one says don't come this way. All right, that should work. And if we double track it, that should be just long enough for, yeah, shoot. I don't know about that. We've got to have enough room for a train going each way. So let's see. No, it is not going to work. We're only going to be able to run one train in there from that line. Yeah, I have an alternative. We're going to bump up this station. Gives us two lines. And we'll run the second line from this one into it like that. And that will give us the ability to run two trains. Okay. So one line will run out of track one. And we'll go here. And we'll always be full. And one line will go out of track two. And will always be full. Track two can't get there. Why is that? Oh, again, it's helpful if you're connecting, if your railroad lines actually connect to one another. Simple line, track two to there. And go. And we are going to pump this one up 2.4 a week. And what we want to do also to get this going, we want this distillery. All right, we need a 500,000 to pump it up some more. It's actually missing fruit. And they're still sending meat there for, we don't want that meat. Oh, we got to get rid of that meat business. I thought it'd be cheap because it's a redundant business. So we're going to demolish it. And we're going to put in a Taylor for 450 grand. So once we have 450, we will put a Taylor in Sacramento. And now the textiles from San Francisco will feed the Taylor in Sacramento. And both cities should do much better. But of course, right now, our primary goal was to get Carson City to grow, and it is growing, doing nicely, but it's kind of borderline. And we got this warehouse taking up our space. We'd love to be able to put in a museum in there. That would take care of a lot of problems, but we can't do that. We've got the gold taking up that space. So Shasta is growing, and it's close to hitting its 80,000. So it kind of shows you how this works and how these things build up. So what we need to do next is expand out and go out to, we have to keep our eye on this and keep growing it. And we will see, we'll come back later and check and make sure we've done the right thing here and here. But we will check on, we'll expand out now and go out to LA and get our long line going, which will make us a lot of money. It's one of those things we could have considered doing earlier, and that'll make us a buku bucks, and then we'll use that to fund building out another cluster similar to this out here in the southern part of California. Maybe go over into Arizona and Nevada for some of it, and let's see what we've got going as far as objectives. All right, it's 1853. We're doing well. Carson City's growing. It's up to 70. We have set up our alcohol, though we haven't seen any yet. And I think it's because we're not quite getting what we need. But what the good news is, since we don't have the meat anymore and we have the Taylor's going to get textiles from elsewhere. So it should free up our lines out of this warehouse to bring a lot of fruit into Sacramento. So let's let me just pause for a moment. All right, we're going to go out now and start expanding our world and go out here to Los Angeles. And we're going to eventually build a 4-city cluster out here. Remember, we need 8 cities to grow. So, but on this one, we're going to use the outer line as the passengers and the inner as the freight, kind of the opposite. But the first thing we're going to do is connect up our line going to San Francisco. We're just going to stay down here along the beach, kind of along this nice spectacular views. what are we going to do here? And now we're going to figure out how we're going to connect all this. I don't want to lose all that work, so let me go back here and make sure everything looks good on this. No, never mind. Okay. Okay, what we need to do is take you know what we did there? We ran our freight line. What did we do here? We've got a freight line here we don't even need. This section right here is not even needed. It'll be interesting to see if I've messed up everything. Nope, nope, not at all. So now we need to run our line. We're going to run a line. We use this one. Sorry, this one for San Francisco or LA, and this one to Utah, Salt Lake City, because we know we have to go there eventually. So let's just see if we can get around that. I think the other thing we're going to have to do is move that supply tower. He's just not in a happy place for us. Let's move him down, put him right in the city. Be easy for workers to get to it. And now see if we can run a line that will go out through here. And what we may have to do to make this work is delete a section of track. Run our line starting to Los Angeles like so. And then bring this, see how we can build this track back up. We'll probably have to go probably going to have to get rid of, let's see what's going on here. There we go. Now let's see if this will possibly go over here. So that's what happens when you do a little bit of poor planning. Okay. That should give us back our freight line, which we've managed to mangle. And let's see if we can put some signals back in. Let's see if that fixed our problem. Yeah, so now our freight trains are running. Okay, none the worse for the wear. And we'll see if we can't build our line out to LA. See, it was 2.1 million. That little tunnel right there may need to stay. Down under a million. Big bridge can go. We're getting more reasonable. Come down here a little bit to lower ground. Okay, we're getting better and better. $470 is good. Now, because of this rise right here, we're going to keep that one tunnel. That looks pretty good. And we'll double track it all the way back to San Francisco. There we go. And since it's a long, long line, we'll give it a couple of supply towers. Probably not totally necessary, but can't hurt anything. We'll do our ever thrilling signal setting. And again, this would be one I would recommend doing even earlier than we did it. So, good. So let's run. And here we're going to run express goods only. Couple of big reasons. One, long line, make a lot of money with express. Two, we're going to run fast trains on it. We're not going to be running dragons or freight trains on it. And three, biggest one of all, actually, given our strategy, I don't want goods going from San Francisco to LA. I want all these goods in San Francisco to feed my other three cities. LA will have its own source of, shall we say, well, here's good timing. We can now pick up this Rensselaer, which is a faster train, an express only train kind of deal, and we will start using that for our express line. And because it's such a long line, we'll set up a line going this way, coming back with express goods. Put a Rensselaer, or however you say it, on there. If somebody knows, let me know. And then we'll start cloning these boys, and we're going to run at least 8 trains through here, maybe 10. I think 8 will do. And I'm just going to clone them quickly because they will space themselves out appropriately over time. 2, 3, 4, 5. And all those warnings are saying that we might lose an express line. That's fine. We'll have our express line. It'll be over here. That's 6, 7, and 8. Okay, we'll get those guys running. Make sure we have maintenance on this end. Now we have our connection. We will soon have an express connection between San Francisco and LA. And we're still not getting any alcohol. Got to fix that. Here's where these, I think what we're going to do at a minimum is take one of these lines. If I can take one of these lines, and we're going to tell it to specialize in fruit. And let's just do a couple of them. He has now dropped a little bit low. It's not getting enough meat or beer. So we need to fix that. We need to bump up our meat production here. We don't own this industry, but we're about to. And we need to pump it up a couple of times. And we need 14 cattle. I'd love to buy this, but it's really expensive. Okay. We're not getting as much balance out of this as I would like. We got too many textiles for one thing. This has got to go. And this has got to go. This textiles has got to go. So I think we're going dairy on this one. Very expensive. Well worth it. We're going to put a dairy farm. They call it a dairy farm. It's really as soon as we have enough money, we'll put it. It's really a dairy plant or dairy processing plant or something. Certainly not a farm in a city, but nonetheless. Now we should start seeing an improvement in this as we get. We have milk. Good. There you can see it's already starting to grow just by making that change. And if we can get rid of this textiles and Shasta, you see Shasta's up to 87,000, so it's doing great. This is going to be expensive too. Yep. As soon as we have a little more money, we're going to destroy this one and put something different in here too. And while we're building it up, let's see what we might want. So we've got meat and textiles. We've got clothing and alcohol. We've got lumber and dairy. We've got beer. That's all good. So what our next likely one would be, let's see here. I'm checking my list. I made a list. I'm checking it twice. I think we're going to do something with maybe with lumber. Now let's just see what we get. This brewery we want to keep. Here we go. Now we want to do. Oh, it just isn't. We're not quite at a point where we need something again, so we're just going to have to let that go. It's too bad. There, you can see the money that's starting to roll in from these guys, and we're going to bump it up some more by giving them some employees. Okay, and let's just stop right there. Not quite where we want to be yet, but we're starting to get the goods in. We're growing Carson City. We've grown Shasta. Sacramento's growing. We'll work on San Francisco, and then we'll also, in our next one, we'll build out our next. Now we'll have more money coming in, and we'll build out our next four-city cluster down here around from Los Angeles. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it helps you. I hope it piques your interest in what I think is going to be a really good game, Railway Empire. And please comment, like, subscribe. Let me know what you like and don't like about the way I'm doing this, and let me know what else you would like to see. And we'll continue with this. We're far from done with this whole idea of how we move goods into the cities and grow them, but we are making progress, definitely. Thank you so much for joining. Bye.